one thing I wanted to hit before we leave. Today is August 16th as we record it. Robert, do you know what happened in track and field history on August 16th?
I do, because you told me.
Usain Bolt. It's actually both his last 200-meter world records were both on August 16th. August 16th, 2008 in Beijing, he runs 9.69. 1 year later, August 16th, 2009, Berlin, Germany, the Olympia Stadion, 9.58. That was the world record, smashed the world record by 11 hundredths of a second. It's still the world record. No one has even come close to it in the 15 years since then. So, 2 questions for you, Robert. Why has this record stood for so long? And how much longer is it going to stand? Because 15 years, that is the longest any 100-meter world record has stood since automatic timing. The previous longest was 14, and that was by Jim Hines when he ran 9.95 back in 1968. But he had the altitude of Mexico City helping him there. So you can kind of understand. This Bolt's run was essentially at sea level in Berlin.
Why is 9.58 stood for so long? Because it's damn good. First of all, World Athletics needs to put an altitude thing in there so somebody can't go to 10,000 feet and try to break it. We don't want this record that stood this long to be broken on a technicality. How long will it last? Well, when I launch my sprint site, I'm not taking out 9.57. I'm just going to take out 9.58.com. I'm pretty confident it's going to last for another while. I just think he was a freak, John. No one thought that anyone that big would be good at the 100 meters, and he was good at it. Now, Tobogo is not quite as tall, but he kind of reminds me of Bolt. But he's got a ways to go on that one. So wouldn't shock me if we're only halfway into the lifetime of this. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, some people on Twitter were saying, "Oh, the person who breaks this record hasn't even been born yet." I'm not sure about that, but no one has run 9.7. No one has broken 9.7 since 2012. So I don't think we're particularly close. Because Shane Thompson, it wouldn't shock me if he runs in the 9.6s one day, but 9.58, yeah, Bolt, like you said, Robert, just an absolute freak. He had absurd turnover married with a really long stride because he was 6'5". So you put those two things together, that's how you get Usain Bolt. Yeah, I think another 10 years I could see that.
I don't know. There was a couple years ago, what record was it? You said it would never be. Oh, Kipchoge's record would never be touched. It was torched within like a year. So Shane Thompson is pretty damn good.
If we get super spikes, though, I mean, we could get some Bolt-like talent pops up in a year or two, and suddenly we hadn't seen Bolt until he shows up, and suddenly he's ripping off these world records. But what's interesting to me is we used to have more 9.7 guys. And now if you go anything under 9.7, and maybe that's just because the sport has cleaned up since then. But what do you think, Robert? Because if you run 9.7 these days, that's like the PR of the very best guys, and no one's running in the 9.6s.
I think Walden was trying to chime in, but the internet connection in his vehicle doesn't seem to be working. John's applying drugs there. That's very interesting. I mean, I do think drug testing is better. I mean, I hate to I'm sure some people are in their car right now or running and just screaming, "Are you guys stupid? Drugs. There's people that think drugs is the answer of everything. But it is kind of interesting. I mean, you kind of either need to assume that, if you look at I'm going to tell a stop to right now, and I'm pulling up the deep all-time 100-meter world list. And we've been spending, a number of minutes here talking about Usain Bolt's 9.58 from 15 years ago. But the man at number 2 on the list, actually, well, even making my point, the man at number 2 on the list, there's 2 people tied at number 2. Tyson Gay, who had a 2.0 win and served a doping suspension, and Yohan Blake. So if you just look at Blake, like you either assume that it's just that he was Usain Bolt's training partners. So there's really only three options here. One, two of the biggest freak talents of all time happen to be on the same island in Jamaica, and born very similar times to each other. Or two, their coach was so much better than anyone else's that, that's why they were good. Or three, they were on a substance that nobody else was on, nobody got caught with. And, I guess you could have a combination of all three, coaching, drugs, and talent. But yeah, Weldon's college friends with Matt Taylor, founder of Tracksmith. They spent a lot of time with Usain Bolt. And, I remember asking him back in the day, what do you think? I said, I've never seen any indication that there's illegal drugs. So I want to believe Bolt's clean. I also wanted to believe Kiprop was clean. It looked like to me that Alex Bell Kiprop was born to run the 1500. That tall, lanky stride. That guy was a junior phenom. And guess what? He was on EPO. Doesn't mean that he was always on EPO, but I think Bolt was just a freak. So if you put a gun to my head, I'm saying he's clean.
Me too, Robert. And remember, this guy won the 200 World Juniors when he was 15 years old. Usain Bolt was a phenom his entire life. That's ridiculous to be able to do that. But obviously, look, this comes up all the time when people run these historically fast times. All the people around him on the all-time list served some sort of suspension. Tyson Gay busted for doping. Yohan Blake and Asafa Powell were both sort of supplements. These were not like, it's not like they were just taking testosterone. That's not what they were banned for. They got shorter bans for sort of less serious substances, but they did serve bans. And Justin Gatlin was banned for essentially testosterone or its precursors. He's kind of been unclear exactly, his story. He hasn't had a consistent story about what happened there. It does seem like he's going in with the sabotage thing, but he was banned. And then Christian Coleman, whereabouts suspension, no evidence that he was doping, but he also served a suspension. So that's why a lot of people would look at these 9.7s and say, well, look, all these other guys getting banned. But then the other side of that is, yeah, but were any of these like flat out clear, obvious doping cases? I think Gatlin's the one that Gatlin and Gay, I think people would say yes. The other one's less inclined to.
But it's absurd how much faster he is. And I don't think drugs is not an easy explanation either. Like, he's 0.2 faster than Noah Lyles. Like a 10.2 and a 10 flat sprinter, that's not even like the same ballpark. Or a guy who's running like 10 flat. Do you think he's become a 9.8 guy? Like, it's just crazy how much better or how much faster Usain Bolt was than these guys. But, he was tall and lanky. It is just a completely different look than what you see from these other guys. And he did bulk up a bit. So I want to believe he could be clean, like, because they're not even getting close. And it's been 15 years, which historically is like a really long time, which is nuts because I don't see it going down anytime soon. And now if the shoes change or someone starts taking some supplement, like we're thinking that's maybe some of the stuff in the 800, and I'm wondering about the 1500 too, could it be sodium bicarbonate supplement? No, that's, I want apples to apples, and apples to apples, unless you're saying it's drugs, no one's even close to him right now.
There you have it. Shane Thompson will break the 100-meter world record next year. The reverse let'srun.com jinx is on. All right, I think that's going to do it.